I had like a couple life and death experiences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I want to share this with you, but like a couple years ago, I had my birthday and I wanted to give something to myself. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to
Mm-hmm.
go to this festival. It's called, so I went to Mexico for that festival. And it's a 3-day festival. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on the
Okay.
second day, I almost got, yeah, it was
Oh
crazy. It
my
was like,
goodness.
yeah, it was a crazy experience.
Awesome, Christian. So once again, thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it. And thank you for your willingness to share your martial arts story. So I guess, we're going to start off with, I'll give you the breakdown of what the interview is going to be like. So a couple of questions are going to be about your background overall, so we can get to know you more at a high level. And then we'll ask you some questions about your martial arts journey. And then I'll ask you some questions regarding advice that you would have for people that will be interested in martial arts, given your experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
So the first question is, how old are you and where do you call home?
Hmm. I'm 22 years old, and where do I call home? Well, I can say that I've lived half of my life in New York and the
Hmm.
other half in Mexico City. So it's
Okay.
kind of hard for me to answer that question because I feel like I belong here, but I was raised in Mexico City and most of my family is there, you know?
Okay.
So I
Okay.
guess it's a little bit of both, you know?
Yeah, so you have two homes, Mexico City
Yeah,
and New York City. That's awesome.
yes.
Awesome, awesome. And if you don't mind sharing with us, what do you do for a living and how long you've been doing it?
Well, I've had multiple jobs, but right
Hmm.
now I'm working as a server at an
Okay.
Italian restaurant.
Okay.
It's by Hill's Kitchen.
Okay.
And also I just started doing this. I've been helping with the kids class at Renzo Gracie Academy. It's been like
Okay.
a couple weeks,
Yeah,
so I'm doing that too.
that's really
So
impressive,
yeah,
man.
it's pretty it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that you are teaching or helping with the class because, man, like just having conversations with you off the mat, like you pretty much live at the Renzo Gracie Academy, man. Like almost every day, if not every day. We'll get to talk a little bit more about that, but you mentioned like even like sometimes you were going there like several times a day, right?
Yes.
Um, And it's not, I mean, it shows. Just grappling with you, like you're a killer, man. You're really good. I think that's one of the beauties and why I like jujitsu is because grappling with you, right? Like I'm not sure how much you weigh, but I weigh 195. So I'm pretty sure I got like 30 pounds over you. But when we grapple together, it's like I told you, it's like you're mopping the floor with me, man. Like it's really tough to go against you. But I think that's the beauty of jujitsu, right? That um, it doesn't really matter the size difference, but if you're proficient in technique, you're gonna get the job done. You know?
No, definitely. I think it's all about the technique, and you
Yeah.
hear a lot of professors saying that the maths don't lie. Like you can say whatever you want to say, but once you start grappling, it shows.
That's
Like
it.
yeah, it shows like how much time, how much effort you put into it,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So
It's crazy. Well, maybe you've heard that because you've been longer at Hensel Gracie than me, but I like that. Maths don't lie. It's
yeah,
true. It's true, man.
yeah, it's true, it's true. Hilarious, but
So
true.
yeah. So I'm curious, and I think I share that commonality with you as well. First of all, I didn't know you were 22. You look like young, bro. Like I thought you were, I don't know. I guess like the because the way you are, you're mature, but I didn't realize you were that young, man. But
Thank you, thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. So, I guess my question is, and the other thing that I share common ground with you is that I also worked as a server, in New York City in Italian restaurants, Greek restaurants, etc. But I'm interested in knowing, do you think there's a connection between what you do as a waiter with martial arts? Do you see any connection with that? Any common
Hmm.
ground?
I would say I think the only two things that my like like martial arts and being a server might have in common will be one is the pressure. Um I remember this day I was rolling with Danny Paulino. He's a black belt.
Hmm.
He used to teach at Renzo Gracie, but now he opened his own academy, right?
Hmm.
But back then when he was there, I remember it was like a 6 p.m. class. I don't remember the day, but he was in Mount. He was in Mount, and the pressure was horrible, horrible. And I knew that I was not gonna escape, you know. I knew that I was not gonna escape. So I remember that I bridged so hard just to get some fresh air. That's all I wanted to do because I knew I was not gonna escape. And he was just looking at me like, what are you doing? But like, I really needed fresh air because, like, he's putting all the pressure on me. And he does this thing where he puts like his neck next to your nose. So you bring all this heat that
Oh,
that he
yeah.
has. So it was horrible. It was horrible. But I didn't give up. I didn't give up. I could have just like tap and start over, right? But I just, I was just there and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna tap to this. So going back to your question, I would say is the the ability of stay calm under pressure, I would say. Because, sometimes you're taking orders and let's say the runner, he's busy, right? And sometimes he needs help, especially in the kitchen. It's so hot, So I feel like I'm able to really like it's really hard to break me. That's what I'm trying to say, like I can be so under so much pressure, like I have to take care of this deal, I have to take care of that, maybe I have to run my foot. It's so hot, whatever, but it's just not gonna break me. It's very hard. And I feel like it's because of it, because I
Yeah.
mentioned this situation with Danny Paulino, but I have so many situations that are similar to it. Like you wanted to tap, but you're like, no, 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 no.
I
Let's
could
just keep
keep
going,
going,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I would say one thing would be like being able to stay calm under pressure
Hmm. Hmm.
and 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 think like in a how would you say like in a really focused way.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then the other thing would be since I'm doing this almost every day, I don't really feel intimidated by other people because sometimes I feel like in a restaurant or a bar, wherever, you're always gonna find these people that are trying to make a point, they're like, oh, what's up? What are you doing? You're trying to make a trouble, but like I fight almost every day. Obviously, it's not the same as MMA, like
Hmm. Hmm.
because
Hmm.
once you start getting punched, everything changes. Everything
Hmm.
changes.
Hmm.
But in some way or another, I feel like it helps also with it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know for people that can re I totally get you, right? But because I've had similar experience working in a restaurant and like especially on the weekends is when it's like the busiest in New York City. I mean, I think it all depends too, depending on what restaurant you work in. Sometimes it's really busy during the week. Um, but like just dealing with the amount of pressure, right? Of like different, like all your section, like all the tables filling up, everybody wants food and every table is being in a different stage. Some people are just getting ready to order appetizers, you're getting ready to fire the main course, dessert, like so many things that you have to keep track of. And I think that like you're saying this and it makes sense to me because anyone that works in the restaurant industry, whether you're working inside the kitchen, you're working outside on the floor, the pressure is on, right? And especially in New York City. So I can see how you've developed that skill of keeping your cool under pressure and how that, and I'm glad that you're able to share like how that helps you with work and dealing with the stress that can come from work. But also what you're saying is that even when you're not at work, you're going to different places, right? Like to a bar or whatever, and someone's being aggressive, like that doesn't really get a reaction out of you. You know how to stay calm, even though that's happening, right? And as
Yes.
you said, once punches start flying, that's a different story. But for the most part, you keep your calm.
Yeah, yeah. Totally,
Gotcha,
totally.
man. Gotcha, man. And I mean, I'm asking you this because I'm seeing two things on your background that are sticking out to me, and it's making me think about this. Like, what do you like to do for fun? When you're not at the restaurant or when you're not doing martial arts? Because I see a guitar there and I see a bike,
Yeah.
a sign. So I'm curious if those are the things that you like to do.
Well, the bike sign is more for my mom. She loves biking. But
Okay,
personally, I enjoy skating. Like I have a longboard, so sometimes I will go to Riverside Park, and just skate by myself or with my dog.
that's
I also have a
awesome.
dog. I also have a dog, so I like to go
Okay,
for a round with her.
okay,
What else? Probably go to concerts. I
okay.
really I really like music. I really like how you can go to a festival, to a concert, to a club and just get lost in the sound. Because for me,
Yeah.
it's not about what what are you hearing. It's about what are you feeling.
Yes.
While you're there, you're hearing the sounds, like how the sounds go through your body. So I would say
Yes.
that I would say like I'm pretty simple. Well, sometimes I like traveling too, but right now I'm in another cycle of my life.
Hmm.
So hopefully in a
Yeah.
couple more years I'm gonna be traveling. But for now, I'm
Okay.
trying to yeah, I'm trying to, save some money, so I
Makes
can do
sense.
all that
Makes sense.
stuff. But yeah, I would say that's pretty it. Well, and
Okay.
and and train jiu-jitsu. That's so fun for me.
Yes.
Like,
You
like I'd
train
be
a lot.
laughing. Yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
laughing, having a good time and I'm fighting. It might be weird, but yeah.
I know. And I think that's something that you kind of mentioned already. Like you're not really scared of who you're grappling with. And you say it, but I've seen it where, like you're taking opponents that are bigger than you. And it's like, I mean, I don't know, for people that don't know, like being in the blue basement, training in there when the classes are packed, it is like training in a sauna. It is freaking hot. And I've seen you where I'm gonna own up to it. It's like the fifth round, and I'm like, fuck this. Like I need a break. And I'm stepping off the mat, and you're like on the last round taking a big guy, and I'm like, that is insane. And it's like you're like the most chill, you're laughing, you're rolling, but hopefully I get to your level, man, where like, I'm on the fifth round and every round I think it's like 6 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's a long ass time grappling. So I'm working my way to get to that point where I'm laughing at the last round.
You'll get
I
there.
got
You'll get
yeah,
there.
I got a long way to go, but I love that, it's interesting because I also share like this passion for music. When I was going to the Marine Corps, like that was my biggest concern, like how I'm gonna live 3.5 months without music. Like I was going crazy. But I think you mentioned something that I couldn't put my finger on, like why is it that I love music so much? And you're saying is how it makes me feel, is what I feel when I listen to music, right? And you're talking about skating and all these things. I'm curious, do you feel like there's any connection between that and martial arts? Like maybe experiences in music, in concerts, or while you're skating, like things that influence what you do in martial arts or vice versa?
Well, both of them, it's like a feeling thing, right? Because whenever
Mm-hmm.
you're grappling, now you gotta grab the other person. So I feel like probably that might be something in common. Uh,
Okay.
but overall, I would say more than anything, it's going back to what we were talking about, but about being confident and stay calm. Because a lot of these places are very crowded,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there's always guys that want to make trouble. They bring their friends, they feel like they're strong, but just because they have like four guys behind them.
Yeah.
Uh, so sometimes, I'm with my girl, I'm with friends, we're trying to go in front of the stage. So, like you're going through people wherever. So sometimes you get this look like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? But you just stay calm, you look at them in the eye, like very seriously. So they know that you mean business, but you just here to have a good time. You don't want any trouble, but hey, I'm aware that you're watching me. If you want some beef, hey, I'm not looking for trouble, but at least I know how to defend myself.
Right.
Probably he'll knock me out, right? Who knows? Who knows? Right? Because like in most of these spaces, they're not by themselves, right? They have like four friends, five, and then it's like if you get into a fight with them, then you also have to fight the other guys. Because I don't like back then, at least in Mexico, if you ever had like a problem with some guy, you'd be like, hey, let's go outside. You and I, we fight, and then it's over. But nowadays, people are not like that. They just don't have like those values, you
Like
know?
a clean fight, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah.
one on one. Yeah, yeah.
And now and most of the times also they have a gun, a knife. So that changes everything too.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, you're talking about those values. So I don't know. I don't know what is it about. I think like I'm also, have a Mexican background. I was born here and I actually lived in Mexico for 2 years. And I don't know, like I think there's this thing about our Mexican culture where we have like this warrior culture. Like not everybody might know how to fight, but man, everybody holds their ground. You know what I mean? Like it's really I've yet to see somebody, you know, uh from our background to back down. Even though you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if it's a cultural thing or whatnot, but I'm curious, like for you, do you feel like there were any family values, cultural values that moved you to start doing martial arts? Or was the reason why you did martial arts completely different, has no connection?
Interesting. Well, like I said, I've lived half of my life here, half of my life in Mexico City.
Hmm.
And when I was a kid, when I used to live here in New York, because I was born here, I was living
Hmm.
here for a few years,
Hmm.
but then
Hmm.
my parents got separated, and
Mm,
my dad thought what was best for me was to take me with him to Mexico City.
okay.
And he used to serve in the military in Mexico. So
Okay.
he has like this like tough personality, you know? Um,
Mm.
and since I was younger, he's always been very proactive on me being able to defend myself, you know?
Mm,
Uh, he would put me in boxing, karate, and I think those were the only martial arts that I did when I was living there.
mm.
But also the swimming, basketball. Like he was always putting me in sports,
Okay.
and I didn't really like karate. I don't know why, but but yeah, like since I was a young age, he always put me into martial arts, and I didn't
Yeah.
want to do it, but like he knew that especially us as men, we have to be strong. We have to know how to
Mm,
defend ourselves and our loved ones, right? Because
hmm.
like if you're the man of the house, you have your wife, your kids, and this dude comes in your house or on the street, whatever, and he's trying to hurt your family, hurt you. Like you're the one that has to step up, you know?
I
You know,
agree.
like you're not gonna be like, oh shit, I'm scared, and you're gonna tell your wife, can you please handle this? Like, no, dude, no, that's not gonna
Y-
happen. That's not how things work.
Right, right.
And so yeah, I feel like when I was in Mexico, I was doing boxing and karate just because my father wanted to. But then
Hmm.
when I moved here, I have I had like a couple life and death experiences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to share this with you, but like a couple years ago, I had my birthday and I wanted to give something to myself. So I decided to
Hmm.
go to this festival. It's called Electric Daisy Carnival. It's like a music festival, electronic festival. So I went to Mexico for that festival. And it's a 3-day festival. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on the
Okay.
second day, I almost got kidnapped. Um, yeah, it was
Oh
crazy. It
my
was like,
goodness.
yeah, it was a crazy experience. I remember that on that day, I went with a couple of friends, but right at the end, we were like, um, should I start by
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
like,
Yeah, let's pick it up from where you left off. You mentioned that you were at this EDM concert, right, in Mexico City. And you mentioned that you almost got kidnapped.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I remember I was with a couple of friends, but the concert was already over.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
everybody was like, all right, we're going home, but we
Mm-hmm.
went separate ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was by myself. I was already out of the place where the concert was happening. And then I ordered Uber because in Mexico we don't have public transport at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Then in your phone you can see where your Uber is, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
it's close, if it's far. And there
Mm-hmm.
there was like a lot of traffic in that area because of the festival, right? So I started walking towards, my Uber, and then just out of nowhere, I just felt this energy, like somebody was watching me, like
Mm-hmm.
my intuition was telling me there was something wrong, I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
drunk, I'm not gonna lie, but
Mm-hmm.
I still felt that. It was a weird feeling, When you
Mm-hmm.
feel it, you know what it is. It's kind of hard
Right.
to explain. It's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, I felt that, so I started to be like more aware of what was happening around me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just hear out of nowhere on the other street, like somebody just screamed out loud on the other street. Just that. I was like, okay, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I started jogging. Towards my Uber, and then just out of nowhere, the car pops up like he was driving really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw that I was jogging towards the opposite side that they were going, right? So they stopped immediately and they turned around and they started chasing me. Luckily, I was able to just kind of, because there was like this big avenue, but right in the middle, there was like a little garden, like the whole avenue, like a whole large garden with trees and everything. So
Yes.
I kind of just crossed that. So for them to be on the other side, they had to go like a few blocks more, like they had to drive like forward like a few more blocks and then turn around so they could go to the side, right?
Right.
So as soon as I crossed, I saw a cab and I was like, hey, the Uber is charging me 400 pesos. I'll give you 600, 500. I can't remember, but I said something like that. And he's like, getting? So yeah, I
Oh
remember
my
yeah, I remember that day
goodness.
because I got home and I couldn't sleep. I thought I
Wow.
thought I thought they were probably they follow me, so now they knew where I live. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I started to think all those things because in Mexico I live with my family. So now I'm like, okay, now it's not about me. Now it's also about my family, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So luckily they didn't follow me. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Uh I
Thank
ended
God.
up I ended up not going to the third day because I was like, okay, I think I already had enough fun. Let's just leave it like that. But when that happened to me, it took me a while to kind of just heal up from the trauma,
Yeah, it
Because
is a very scary and traumatic experience.
yeah, it really was. Because now you're looking behind your back, somebody's following you, things like that, and and
Oh, wow.
and nobody likes living that way, So after a couple months, I started thinking, hmm, let's just say that they would have kidnapped me, like they would have grabbed me. I know some striking, but I know that I'm not that good, to not knock out five dudes or three dudes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
probably I can probably face one dude, but like four or five, that's a whole story, right? And if they have guns, it's like, okay, that's different too, right? But I started thinking like, what would I do if like they grab me? Because I would always think to myself that I was good on the ground. I don't know why I always had like that that feeling that I was gonna be really good on the ground. Like I never had a fight on the ground, but I just thought I was good at it, right? And then I was like, okay, let's find something that, involves grappling, like a martial art that
Mm-hmm.
involves grappling, whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
found jiu-jitsu. I was like, all right, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that my first gym was a UFC gym by Kanashri because I used to watch like a lot of UFC. So I didn't know much about jiu-jitsu. So in my mind, I was like, all right, I want to train jiu-jitsu. Let's just go to the UFC gym. I know
Hmm.
they're probably gonna have jiu-jitsu, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, I went there. I took a try class, and that's where I realized how little I knew about jiu-jitsu, right? Because
Mm.
I was like,
Hmm.
all right, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna meet this guy. I'm gonna do that, do this. I got there. This skinny dude starts fighting me, and he submits me like in less than a minute. And I'm like, okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again.
Yeah, yeah.
He caught me off guard, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then yeah, we did it again, and he submitted me again. So I was like, it was just like mind blowing for me, you know? Because
Hmm.
in for my whole life, I've been thinking that I'm really good in the ground,
Hmm.
which I was not. I was not. And then that was after the pandemic. So because of the pandemic, they had less people coming in.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
had to close the gym. So as soon they
Mm.
closed it, like I was only there for like 2, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they closed it. I was like, okay, I need to find somewhere else. And that's where I started, doing some research and all that. And I found Renzo Gracie Academy. I even remember that my first class was on a Thursday morning, Thursday, 7 a.m. I couldn't sleep. It was like I remember on a Wednesday, I was, just doing all this research. And, I remember that back then, I was telling to myself, like, oh, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go there. But it's been already like 3, 4 weeks and I haven't go there. So I was like, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm not gonna sleep today. I'm just gonna go to the 7 a.m. class. And yes, that's what I did. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep from Wednesday to Thursday. And
Wow.
yeah, because I just couldn't,
What?
I just couldn't.
Hold, but I'm curious. I have a lot of questions about what you just shared. So you're talking about the UFC school, Canal Street, right?
Mhm.
Um, you went there after the pandemic, but for whatever reasons, they shut down like a couple of weeks after you were going there. So
Yeah.
then you have to find a new place, right? So you're looking for
Yes.
a new place and you're mentioning you're doing this research. And then eventually you bump into Hensel Gracie or you found out about Hensel Gracie, but it seems like after you found out about Hensel Gracie, it took you 3 weeks before you said, "Hey, I'm actually gonna go into the first class."
Yeah.
So walk me through that. Like, what was the process? Like, when you're talking about research, what kind of research did you do? You don't have to go too much in depth, but what made you want to say, "Hey, like Hensel Gracie, I think it's a good fit for me." Right. And then the other question I have is what was it that kept you through weeks uh from not going, right? Because it seems like there was like a little bit of a idling period between from when you found it and you said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the first class."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess I chose Renzo Gracie because I was watching I don't really remember the name. I think is what's his name? This guy that fought UFC when all began, like Helio Gracie, I think. That's his name, I believe.
Helio Gracie, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. UFC, like UFC one.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. So I didn't know anything about him, but I started watching all these fights, and there's like a couple videos on YouTube where,
Yeah,
they will bring like coaches from other martial arts,
yeah,
like from karate, boxing,
yeah.
whatever, and they will beat them up.
Yeah, I could be wrong on the name, but I know who you're talking about. He is
Yeah,
part of
yeah, 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 yeah.
family,
I
and he was like on. I know he was on UFC one, so I know who you're talking about. I actually just saw he was on the show with Joe Rogan, and he was talking about like how was it in the very beginning of UFC, right? But I know who you're
yeah,
talking about though.
yeah, I might be wrong with the name, like you said, but yeah, I started watching him, and I was like, okay, I feel like that's powerful. Like they're beating these guys that train jiu-jitsu, I mean boxing, I don't know, karate, kung fu, and they're beating them up pretty easy, pretty easy. And then I was just like, 'cause like there's a lot of schools in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I would say that I just had a good feeling about this academy, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think like there was like a special reason that I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to Renzo Gracie. I honestly I didn't even know that. Renzo Gracie was that popular. Now that I'm there almost every day, I'm like, I'm on Instagram and I be like, oh shit, they have schools in Mexico, they have schools in Spain, Europe, in
Mm-hmm.
Africa,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
South America. So it's like a thing, you know?
Little do you know you
Uh
are going to like the Mecca, right, of Renzo
yeah.
Gracie schools that you're right, they are all over the world.
Yeah, and I couldn't go to the Upper West Side because there is one academy over there,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
and it's closer to me. It's closer to me, but I just didn't know about that one, so I ended up going to the headquarters to Blue Blazement. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. I love that
Yeah,
school too.
man.
The one on the Upper West Side.
Mm-hmm.
Great
Mm-hmm.
guys. I go there,
Mm.
have a good time. Like they're really good. Like they're really
That,
good.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a
That's
little bit
awesome.
different, but they're amazing. They're amazing. So I guess
Yes.
I was just lucky that I found Blue Basement, not knowing
Yeah.
that it was like that popular.
Gotcha. So walk me through what was it that kept you, I don't know if it was hesitation, but you took from what you just said, like about 3 weeks from the time that you were like, okay, Hansel Gracie looks like a good fit for me. But what kept you 3 weeks from not going?
I think I was nervous. I think I was nervous to start
Yeah.
to start all over again. I
Ah,
think yeah.
like
K-
you were nervous about what exactly? Like you say, like start all over again. Like tell me more.
Yeah, because for me, like I was saying, I was at the UFC gym like for like almost a month. So for me, it's like, oh wow, I have to start all over again. All those 4 weeks are gonna go in vain because for me now I think different, right? But before I wanted to get my stripes as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I was
mm-hmm,
a
mm-hmm.
white belt. I wanted my first try. I'm like, I have to start again. The coach is not gonna know me. So I think part of it was I didn't wanna start all over again, I
Gotcha.
guess. And then the second one, I was just nervous, because the school that I was going to is considerably small compared to the Blue Basement. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew that once I go to the Blue Basement, it was like, all right, like I'm kind of like in the big leagues. So I guess those things, like I was just kind of nervous. And also, I just didn't want to start all over again with my journey, because I already had like 4 weeks in. It's like, oh, the coach is not gonna know me. I have to start all over again. He's gonna see me like a white belt, like a person that literally just started doing jiu-jitsu, but I already had like a month of training.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I think those were the reasons.
Gotcha, gotcha. So just the fear of having to start from the bottom again, right from scratch, and and
Yes,
and
yes.
and it is intimidating. It doesn't matter what martial arts school you go to, but the first day, like being the new person there, that there is some element of intimidation there. And so, okay, that's what kept you at bay, but you said 3 weeks after that, I'm gonna do it, right? And I'm curious, why did you stay up all night? Was it the excitement? What was it that didn't let you sleep?
I think I had anxiety. I just
A-
couldn't.
Anxiety. Okay.
Yeah, I just think that I couldn't handle myself. Let me rephrase that. I just think that I couldn't let pass another day without training. Because like I was saying before, I think we as a man, we have to be strong, we have to be always prepared. They have this phrase here. It's like hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So I
Hmm.
try I try to live by that. So yeah, I kind of just felt like very, very stressed, anxious that it's been weeks that I haven't been training, and I just didn't want another day to went by without training. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that today is gonna be my first day, no matter what. I'm going to be there. I'm not gonna fall asleep
Wow.
because sometimes you have these excuses, right? Like, oh, you're tired. I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I didn't sleep much. I'll do it next week. Oh, my friend asked me to go there. I'll do it next week. And there's always these excuses, no? So I guess, yeah, I was just making excuses for those weeks, like Because I
Yeah.
couldn't, because once I knew about Renzo Gracie, I could just be like, okay, I'm gonna go there uh, next day, but I didn't. So I felt like like I said, I just didn't want another day to pass by.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha. And so how did you overcome that? How long did that feeling of being the new person stay with you? And what did you do mentally or in general to just get over that?
Um, I think it's all about training, you know.
Hmm.
It got to a point where, because like in Hansi Gracie Blue Basement, we have like these beginner classes that last 1 hour, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and 8 to 9.
Hmm.
So back then, I remember I was working at Stouts. It's another restaurant,
Hmm.
and they every week they will change your schedule. So sometimes you'll be working in the morning, sometimes in the evening. So I was just trying to attend classes as much as I could.
Hmm. Hmm.
And but it got to a point where I just felt like I was not getting better because I was obviously just training 1 hour in a day. And it got to a point where for me it was just not enough. So I started doing like multiple classes. I would go there, do the 6 p.m. and stay all the way to the last class. I would do 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and 8 to 9. I know now it's like bro, I was crazy. But like I feel like that helped me a lot because
Hmm.
like if I'm comparing myself to another guy that just started training, right?
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
training once a day, 6 days a week, I mean six days a week, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna by the end of the week, he's gonna have 6 hours of training, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But let's say I do 3 classes or 2 classes in a day, and I do that for 5, 6 days. Let's say I do 2 classes in a day for 6 days. Then I'm gonna
12.
have 12 hours of training.
Hmm.
So, and if you keep doing that every week, it's gonna get to a point where they just, even if they want to, they just cannot catch up with you. Because like you've been working for so many weeks, months, you have so many hours of training that they just cannot catch up with it. So I feel like that helped a lot. Yeah, back then I didn't have a dog. I didn't have like any responsibilities.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's why I had like a lot of time to do jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, that definitely helped a lot, training multiple hours. Uh, like I would go in the morning, then come back, that helped me a lot. That helped me a lot.
Gotcha. So it seems like in the beginning you had this hesitation. You finally pulled the trigger. You said you're going. And from what I'm hearing, like how you got around that or overcame that is by going often, being consistent, right? And going as much as you can. But not only that, like you stacked it up. Like you were going there 3 hours a day or like several hours. So that way by the end you had not only consistency, but a volume of hours, right? To get
Yes.
better at the craft. Makes sense now why you were going there so often and staying there so many classes. Now I get it. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess, like going through all those classes, spending so much time there, did you ever had any physical challenges in the beginning or, up until this point, training that often? Yeah, I'm just curious, like how was that, in terms of like your body? How did that tax your body? Did you had any physical challenges? How did you overcome them?
Well, thank to God, I never got injured when I was a white belt. When I was a white belt, I never had any injury. Thank, thank to God, right? Uh, but yeah, there was some days where my back hurt, my knees, because most of the times and especially as a white belt, you don't really know how to take care of your body. You don't really know how to move safely, in a way while
Hmm.
fighting. So I would always put so much weight on my knees, like I will go for a takedown and just hit the mat really hard, or if I would pull guard, I would fall back on my back like really hard, you know,
Mm-mm.
because when you're starting, I feel like there's always like these pride or ego thing that we have between men, right? Because like I will go to class and then I know this dude is looking at me and I looked at him, he's looking at me, and like looking at us, and I'm like, okay, we're both looking at each other, and in our minds, we're like, I think I can beat this guy up, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then we start fighting, and then you're like, oh, he goes hard, and then he starts going more hard, and then like it's just like a battle, right? You're fighting for your life. So I feel like again, thank God I didn't get hurt, but yeah, there was like a lot of days where my body was really sore. My knee hurt, but I guess you just gotta stay consistent, like honestly, I didn't do any type of recovery, which is wrong, but I guess because I'm young, my body healed up really fast, but just because I'm young, right? But
I was yeah. I was gonna say, brother, I can't do what you do because I'm 39, so I can't
right.
heal as fast as you.
Yeah, because back then I was like 20, right? 19, 20, so I
Oh
was still pretty
yeah,
I'm I mean
forget
I'm still
about it.
pretty young,
You're
right? Yeah,
still
yeah.
pretty young.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I see now, right? Like you are taking the experience. I'm just connecting the dots. I think that now you have a lot more experience, and I see you drinking water, or or you drinking like Pedialyte, something like that. So
Yeah,
now you take more into more serious your physical health, right? Like making sure you're
yeah,
hydrated. I'm pretty sure that you also take care of how your rest and all that stuff because from what you're saying, like what happens when you don't do that, right? So
right.
you have evolved in that sense of how you take care of your body.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, man. Especially like being able to sleep, like that's really important. The sleeping part
Mm,
is very important. I
yeah,
also try I
yeah,
also tried like uh before I will drink like a lot of soda, things like that, things with a lot of sugar. And now I'm like, okay, I like sweet things, but I try to, stay healthy in a way,
stay healthy. Yeah,
because I know that, for example, let's say I go out on a Saturday night and I
yeah.
drink a lot. I drink a lot, and then next day I'm hangover. I'm gonna throw up. Yeah, I remember this day,
Oh,
dude. I remember this day. I went to the Upper West Side on a Sunday.
yeah,
Uh so on a Saturday night, I went out. I had a few drinks. I really
yeah,
got
yeah,
drunk. I really got drunk. I got home like at 3, 4 a.m., bro.
yeah.
And then I was like in that back then I was like really like I really had like this like tunnel vision, I was like I have to train every day. I have to be, better every day. So I remember I woke up like at 10:30, 11, and my friends were there. I just woke up. I'm like, where am I? And they're like, you're at your crib. I'm like, okay. What time is it? No, 10:30. Oh shit, I gotta make it to class. And I think I was still drunk, bro. I was still drunk. And
So
they just looked at me like,
you went to train on a
yeah,
Sunday?
yeah, like hangover, bro. Hangover. Like,
Oh
cause
my.
I remember they looked at me and they're like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I'm gonna take a shower. I gotta make it to training. Like, what do you mean? You're still drunk. I'm like, yeah, but I still gotta train. I remember I went there. And by the second round, I had to step out and went to the restroom just to like kind of because they have like this AC in the restaurant. So I was
Hmm.
just standing in front of it so I could get all this air because I really wanted to throw up, bro, because
Oh
of the
my
pressure.
goodness.
And that's when I realized, okay, I gotta start taking care of my body better, you know?
Mm,
This
mm,
cannot
mm,
happen.
mm.
This cannot happen. So I feel
Yeah.
like being involved in this type of martial arts, it kind of forces you to have like a healthy lifestyle.
Hmm.
I still go out, have a few drinks, with a girl, whatever, with friends. But now it's like, okay, if I'm gonna have a few drinks, I better start drinking water. So next day I'm not hangover, you know, not have too many drinks, 3, 4, and then I'm good. Like nowadays
Yeah.
I really try not to get drunk because like for me it's not enjoyable anymore. Like that feeling that you're all like drunk, whatever, saying bullshit. Like for me, I don't really enjoy that anymore. Like I already had those moments. I had fun, but that's in the past now.
Yeah.
And and it just doesn't goes with who I am right now.
Hmm.
Now I'm
Hmm.
like I can say that I see myself as a professional competitor. I don't compete that much, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So for me to be able to do that, I have to have like a good lifestyle, like a healthy lifestyle. So
Yeah,
that changed me
yeah.
a lot too. That changed me a lot.
Definitely. So it seems like you have matured in terms of like how do you take care of your body, right? And you mentioned why. I'm curious, like has martial arts had any influence in your emotional and mental aspect, right? Like in those aspects of your life, like do you feel that martial arts has helped you in a positive way, mentally and emotionally?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's almost like what they say in the academy. It's like our happy pill. Um, it just became a lifestyle. It just became a lifestyle. There's days where I don't train
Hmm. Hmm.
and I just have like this feeling that something is missing.
Mm,
For
mm.
me, it kind of just became part of my everyday life. Like I like to go there, train, have some fun, roll with these dudes. Sometimes I get choked out, sometimes I choke them, but like, but it's still fun. I still have a good
Yeah.
time. Like you know me, I'm like unless it's like a competition or comp class, I will take it more seriously.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
if it's
Hmm.
just class, or an open mic, I'm having fun. I'm laughing, I'm doing, like just stupid shit, but just for fun, like just for fun.
Gotcha,
I
gotcha,
love doing
gotcha.
that. I love doing that.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Walk me through that like happy pill. So I mean, I kind of understand because I'm part of this world in some sense. I'm not as often as you, but and I go to the blue basement as well. But for those who don't know, what do you mean by the happy pill?
Well, I'm not so sure about how it all started, but I remember I was watching this video from Professor Jaramillo, I think that's his name.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think it was something about this guy that trains Nogi there. He didn't mention any names, so he just said like a random guy that he was training there and he had some problems with drug addiction.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um and training jiu-jitsu helped him a lot. I think this guy kind of just got over his addiction.
Mm.
And but then something happened in his life. I'm not sure if he moved somewhere else or he couldn't train, or the pandemic happened and the school shut down. That's why he couldn't train. I'm not sure what happened, but I remember that he couldn't train anymore. Like he stopped training for some reason,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then he went back again to
Mm.
his drug addiction. The
Mm.
happy pill, he came out of that, like it's like our drug in a way, like a healthy
Gotcha.
drug. So that's why I,
Gotcha.
I think I think it's something like that. I'll be probably missing a few things or change or messing something up, but it's something like that.
Something like that around those lines. Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. And what would you say are your top three personal benefits that you have experienced because of martial arts?
Confidence, I think that's one of them.
Okay.
Then just being able to have like a healthy lifestyle,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being healthy. And then I guess whenever you go train, I don't know if this happens to you or not, but at
Mm-hmm.
least for me, whenever I'm there, whenever I'm training, I always try to forget about what's happening out of there, like 'cause you probably have to pay rent, you probably have some problems at home, probably you get cheated on you. I don't know, probably somebody in your family is having a bad time, it's he or she is in the hospital,
Right.
or what else? Probably you're broke. I don't know. Like, there's so many things that happens in our lives, out of there. And I think whenever you go there, you just forget about all that stuff. Sometimes it's hard, right? Because sometimes you might have like problems that are really hard. Like I can remember I lost my job
You can.
like a years ago. I lost my job
Hmm.
So I was like, all right, I gotta find a new job. I still have to pay all my bills. So I remember I went there, I was training, and I feel like I was just kind of all over, you know. I was trying to be
Right.
focused, you know. I was trying to be there, but at the same time, back in my head, I was like, I still gotta find a job as soon as possible. I gotta pay all my bills. But most of the time, go there and I'm able to forget whatever is happening in my life, you know.
Gotcha.
And I love that, you know. It's just like a break, you know. It's just like a break for me.
I think that's probably another way to define the happy pill, right? Because you mentioned confidence. You mentioned, taking care of your body better now. But I think what you're also talking about is, which is an important skill to learn how to be in the moment, be present, not
Yes,
worried
yes,
about everything that's going on, whether it's the future, the past, but in that moment, you are present. And what's in front of you is all that matters, right? And if, to what you're saying, like even if you have been in tough times, for that moment, you forget all of that and you're just here. Yeah,
yes.
I think that same like you, I experienced something like that. And honestly, starting this business is not easy and there's a lot of issues, and I'm going through my own stuff. But that's what I love about going training. That's why I actually came back because I actually was like, feel like I was dying, like not going back. I needed it. And when I'm there, like, you're right. Like, I just forget everything. And it's just like, we're here. Like,
Yes.
nothing else matters but what the professor is saying on the mat and,
Yeah.
me trying to learn the move or not trying to get choked out,
Right, right.
which is,
No, definitely.
which
I
is
agree
like,
with you.
when I'm grappling with you, it's pretty hard not to get choked out. But, yeah, no, I think those are, I appreciate you sharing that. And I guess, we're almost at the end, and I just want to make sure I get across, a couple more questions. But for you, what have been the three toughest challenges you have experienced, so far, and how have you overcome them?
You mean like in while I was
It-
training jiu-jitsu or
right.
like in general?
While training in martial arts, what have been like your three biggest challenges?
Interesting. I don't think I ever thought about that. I would probably say just injuries.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, because sometimes my knee will hurt very bad. So I would only play guard, you know. But I think,
And that's fine. Like
yeah, I think
sometimes
that's, yeah, I
that
never thought about it until it's just asked. So it's
yeah.
kind of hard for me to be like, okay, what are the challenges that I had? But
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's the only one, you know. Try to stay healthy, try to stay pre-injured.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
I
So
think just that, yeah.
I appreciate that, man. So I think the other a couple questions that I have for you is for someone that is thinking about doing martial arts, what advice you would give them?
Don't think too much. Don't think it too much. Just do it. Just do
Just
it.
do it.
Because
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like in martial arts, the hardest thing is just the first move, you know? I feel like once you go there, after that it gets easy, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Like I was talking to I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Ortega. He's a
Yes,
MMA
yeah.
fighter upstairs training with Black Rob. And I asked him that same question, right? And he said that there is like this wall of resistance, right? And once you overcome that, like the hardest part is to overcome it in the beginning because that wall of resistance is there, and you just got to pierce through it. And the hardest step is the first step.
Yes.
That's what he said, and from what you shared, that's also what was the case for you. I can relate to that. And then in your opinion, what do you think people often misunderstand about martial arts when they're thinking about it?
Interesting. I would say probably will be like people may think that all these people that are training martial arts,
Hmm.
they're impulsive, they're aggressive.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I think it's just that, you know, people think that obviously not everyone, but like I feel like a big part of them think that fighters are kind of stupid. Like they don't think. Yeah, because for them it's like they're just kidding each other. They're just trying to hurt each other, but there's more to it, like they don't see how technical you are, like you train, you kind of just use the momentum, you time it, all those things. Like you have to be smart for that too, It's just like a different type of IQ, I would say, you know. So yeah, I guess people think that we are aggressive or we're just not that smart. I don't know. But I feel like they're completely wrong, because especially in jiu-jitsu, like there's a lot of technique to it. So
Yeah.
you whatever you do, the other person is gonna react to it, and then he's gonna do any something, then you also have to react to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
so
That's
I
what
think yeah.
there's a reason why they call jujitsu the chess of martial arts, right?
Yeah.
Because it is very cerebral. And I think that's also what really attracted me to martial arts. Um, to hopefully get better at being more of a strategic thinker. Because everything that you're talking about is you have to be strategic. You got to think about the moves that you're going to do. You got to almost predict what they're going to do, and then hopefully have a response for that, which is pretty much how you play chess as well.
Yeah.
Um, my last question, and kind of went over time, but is there anything that I haven't asked you that you feel like you want to share? Or anything that you haven't talked about yet that you feel like you want to share?
Probably the only thing to left to talk about will be like how martial arts it's like a really good thing for you as a human. Like it
Hmm.
humbles you, like it shows you how to be respectful, how to talk to people, you know. I feel like that's very important. Like whenever,
Hmm.
because those skills are gonna be very useful out there, on the streets. Like you don't talk to people like in a bad way. You're trying to be respectful, you know. You also know that you don't go around talking shit to people because they might fuck you up, They
Yes.
might fuck you up, like that's not how things work.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, so I guess it's like a really humbling sport, and that's what I love about jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
because it's like there's times where I fight dudes that are smaller than me, or probably even weaker, but they're so sharp with their technique that I can not even pass their guard.
Mm,
So
mm.
so it's like, okay, it humbles you, it humbles you. It's like, okay, you think you're good? Well, you're not that good.
Right. 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 There's always somebody better than you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.